Today I wanted to just follow on a little bit from last episode, which was a Q&A episode, and during that Q&A I asked for people to send me some questions, topics, points of discussion that we could use on the channel here to make some of these vlogs a bit more interesting, and a way that I could share my views, maybe share my techniques of photography, and we can, I guess, make this whole thing a little bit more interactive from time to time. So thanks for everybody that sent questions, and I got a good question this week. It's a pretty simple question, but one I think that's worthy of covering. The question was from Peter Lawrence, and thanks Peter for your question. Peter's question was, "Hey Paul, thanks for views from the shed. You asked for some questions, so I will ask. How do we learn to see the images that surround us?" And a simple question perhaps, but the ability to do this well is what separates most of us from people like yourself and some others. Thanks. So yeah, the question is pretty simple really, but it's not that simple. How do we learn to see images? First of all, I put a video out last year, or the year before, a little while ago, and that video was titled "Developing Your Photographic Eye." I'll put a link below for that video because I think it makes for a good accompanying video to this video. And in that video I talked about the need to I guess develop a database in your memory for taking pictures, and in that video I went into the importance of I guess studying photography, or trying to look at as much photography as possible, and to build up a database in your mind for what you like, and the ability to recognize a good picture when it comes along subconsciously. I won't go into the whole thing too much, but like I say, go and check out that video because I think it segues quite nicely into this video. I'll put a link below for that. You know, how do we see images? How do we find a picture, and how do we make a picture? How do we decide if something's going to be worthy of an image, of a picture, of a photograph? So I've stopped here. There's a lot of these old, what I'm thinking are old feed sheds that are on these properties, these farms here, and I find them quite interesting. But anyway, I thought I'd come in and try and explore this image and try and make something of a picture here, and use it as an example as to how I actually go about the process of making a photograph. So I guess the very first thing for me that I try to follow up on when I see something is how does it move me emotionally, and when I look at things, there's something that tweaks me. I get a tweak in my emotional state, I guess. I think it happens to a lot of us. We'll see something and we go, "Oh, that looks lovely, that looks nice." It's something that strikes a chord of us. And I think that's your very first pointer that there could possibly be a picture. Let's put it into a landscape setting. How often do we drive along and we see the sun rising or the sun setting? The colours are beautiful, and it just makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And we decide that'd make a nice picture. Taking the next step for me is trying to translate what I'm seeing. Will it make a good photograph? You know, that's the key question, and I think that's one of the key things that separates photographers from people who are just taking photographs. Because when we see things with our eyes, it's a completely different experience than framing it for a photograph. The key thing about becoming a good photographer is to make those rather two-dimensional images into 3-4-dimensionally by evoking emotion through your ability, your skill as a photographer with the way you frame something. For instance, this picture I've got here, so I've just noticed something, and it's just the light here is a bit different today. We've got some fog that's lifted, and we've got this really nice, almost muted colour, these greens of the landscape behind. But what I really like about this scene is the way that the frame of the structure is actually framing the landscape behind it. And that's what I'm finding interesting, and that's what I'm trying to investigate. Because I think this is another key point about becoming, I guess, a good photographer, is trying to look at things differently from your eye, and to look for a different perspective on things rather than the same old thing that's been done time and time again. So again, I've taken pictures of these kinds of things before, and what I try hard not to do is to take the same picture twice. I mean, whenever I hold that camera to my eye and I see something that I've taken before, I generally put the camera back down again because I don't want to replicate something I've done prior to that. So in a case like this, what I'm doing today is I'm investigating the scene. I'm just working through it, seeing how I can make something of this picture that's a little bit different to what somebody would expect. Getting in a good frame of mind when you're taking pictures, getting in a relaxed state is really important. And today's a good example. I've been a little bit muddled this morning and not really feeling the photography thing starting to happen. I've had to sort of force myself into coming into the scene and taking pictures. But by doing that now and starting the process of taking pictures, I'm starting to relax. I'm starting to enjoy it, and I'm starting to see a few other things. The more I'm here, the more I'm seeing. This is a really good example of looking deeper and deeper into a certain scene, if you like. And you know, like as an example, started off with the structure. I've seen things. I've started to investigate it with my camera, taking pictures. Got this fence here. I'm really liking the way the whole thing's working together. I've got this fence. I've got the structure behind the fence, and then back in there I've got the landscape, I've got the power pylons, I've got the rocks, I've got the green, I've got the blue of the sky or the grey of the sky, I've got the texture of the sky. So there's lots of things going on there which really adding, I hope, to a nice picture. So another good example of just starting somewhere, and that's how it works. You just build on things, you just take your time, get in a space, get in that space of taking photographs, and things start to happen, and it's very cool. And you know, if I'm just speaking from a personal point of view now, I know when I'm starting to make good pictures because I'm starting to get that cool feeling inside, you know, that magical little feeling of taking pictures and getting images. And if all else fails, if I get nothing good today, I've at least had a little bit of that, which is going to go nicely with my coffee in the afternoon. So that's what it's about. And I think another important thing is to not to compare yourself or your work with other people. If you're happy with your photographs and you're in love with what you're doing, doesn't matter how good other people think you are. The most important thing is that you like what you do and you get a buzz from that. Enjoying what you do first is the most important thing. If you like your pictures, that's the most important thing. To other people, not so, that's secondary. It's nice to have other people like what you do, for sure. But the fact that you get enjoyment out of it, and you get something from it, and it puts you in a space that you like to be, a place you like to be, an emotional state that you like to be, that's the most important thing. So let's summarise what's happened to me today here in this process of finding a picture. So the first thing that I think we need to do is to be in a relaxed state. I wasn't in a really relaxed state when I started. I was okay, but the relaxed state sort of came on the more I got into my photography session here. So being in a relaxed state and a good frame of mind is really important. See things that you like. React on your instinct. Even if you feel that it's not going to be a good picture, react to the instinct that you've seen something that's possibly worthy of taking, making a photograph of. That's the second thing. Analyze the scene. Can you translate what you're seeing with your eyes into a photograph, into a framed picture? Think about how you're framing something. Are you framing it square format? Are you framing it 3x2, 4x3? Are you doing a panorama? All that kind of stuff. How can you frame what you see in front of you, and how will that translate into a photograph? The next thing is to put that camera up to your eye and to look at the photograph through the lens. You know, whether it be a film camera, it doesn't matter. Whether it's a digital camera, it's all the same. See how it frames up by putting that camera to your eye. I never use my LCD screen, very rarely, but I guess 90% of the time, 99% of the time, I'm always looking through the lens of the camera. I'm looking through the viewfinder, looking through there to see the picture. Because there I'm in an intimate space there when I'm looking into the camera through that viewfinder. That's where I want to be. That's how I see pictures. I'm not holding up a phone. I'm actually part of the picture. It's really important for me. Work your scene. Once you see something, you know, just work it. You know, like if the picture's not there immediately, just, you know, investigate it. Investigate the scene. Look into it deeper. Work around it. You'll start to see things. The more that you're there, the more you'll start to see. Look at things in more detail. The longer you're there, the more relaxed you are, the more you're into your photography space, that little space that we get into when we're taking pictures, the more you'll start to see. The creative flow will start to happen once you start to investigate things more. Don't also be afraid not to take the picture. Again, if you hold that camera to your eye and you take a shot, sometimes by taking a picture that's not there, it's more detrimental than actually taking the picture in the first place. So, like, you know, if you hold the camera to your eye, you see, you frame it up and you go, it's not what I thought it would be. Don't be afraid not to press the shutter button, because by doing that you're kind of relieving yourself of a little bit of negativity. You'll know when it's there. You'll get an inkling. Take it. If you think it's there, take it. But if it's not, and you know it's not there, just carry on. That's in a nutshell is how I approach taking pictures and seeing pictures. That's how I approach it, and that's how it works for me. I think we're all different, and I think it's certainly good to share these thoughts with other people, because it just gives you, for instance, an insight into how I do something. I'd also be interested to see how you guys go through this process, and how what are the things that you maybe do differently to what I do. Might make for an interesting topic of conversation. So feel free to leave your comments below in that, and that'll make an interesting discussion. That's it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed today. I don't do a lot of these, I guess, tutorial type things, but it's been good today. I've actually enjoyed it myself, because it's actually made me think more about how I take pictures and how I go about taking the photo, getting photos. And yeah, I've enjoyed it. It's been good. It's been good. Going forward, I'd like more questions. You know, if you've got a question similar to today, or but you want to talk about photography, my views on it, or you want to express your views and maybe look for me for some comments, please do so by putting a comment below, or you can go to my website, go to the contact page on my website and send me an email. It's a bit more intimate, and you can be a bit more expressive of what you want to ask or what you want to talk about. Those are the two best ways of doing it. So I'd be interested in carrying on with this thing, and just having the discussion on elements of photography that might make for better viewing, I guess. So All good, very good. Thank you. I've enjoyed it today. It's been good. Before I go, if you'd like to support the channel, if you've enjoyed today's episode, you've got something from it, you'd like to support my photography, you can do so by buying one of my books. I have 2 books out at the moment. I've got an ebook, Emscapes, and a physical book, Scenes from the Black Sand. Both of those books are available from the website. I'll put a link up here for that. So Scenes from the Black Sand or Emscapes, both those books available on the website. Again, the link is up there for that. That's it for this episode. I've enjoyed this one again. It's been fun. I've enjoyed expressing my thoughts and opinions on things, and I hope you've got something from it. Until we see each other again, please take care out there. Haere rā from New Zealand. Goodbye.